Hey, I'm Noggs, and this is Noggs House. Today we're going to talk about the first cities. People had been farming for a while before cities showed up. They lived in small villages, just a few families living close together, growing food, raising animals. But then something happened that changed everything. Farmers got really good at growing food. So good that they grew more food than they needed. That extra food is called a surplus. Surplus just means extra. When you have extra food, you can store it. And when you can store it, not everybody has to spend all day farming just to survive. That one idea, extra food, is what made cities possible. Here's why. Think about a family. In most families, different people do different things. Maybe one parent cooks, another fixes things around the house. An older kid watches the younger ones. A grandparent tells stories and passes down wisdom. Everyone has a role, and together the family takes care of itself. Cities work the same way, just way bigger. When there was enough food to go around, some people could stop farming and spend their time doing other things. This is called the division of labor. Division of labor means different people do different jobs. And the people who got really good at one specific job are called specialists. One of the earliest and biggest cities we know about is called Uruk. It sat between two great rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, in the place that we now call Iraq. More than 5,000 years ago, thousands of people lived there. That had never happened before in human history. So who were all these people, and what were they doing? One of the most important specialists was the builder. Cities needed walls to keep enemies out. They needed temples, big, important buildings where people could worship their gods. They needed irrigation systems, which are channels that carry water from rivers to the fields so crops don't dry out. None of that builds itself. You need people who know how to plan and construct things. Builders and engineers became some of the most important people in early cities. Another huge specialist was the scribe. A scribe was someone whose whole job was to write things down. But wait, why did a city need writers? Because when thousands of people live together, a lot is going on. Farmers need to track how much grain they have stored. Merchants need to record trades and deals. Kings need to write down laws so everybody knows the rules. The first writing system we know about is called cuneiform. Cuneiform means wedge-shaped. Scribes used a pointed stick to press little wedge-shaped marks into soft clay tablets. Those tablets dried hard and lasted thousands of years. We can still read some of them today. Scribes were so important that they went to special schools just to learn their craft. Those schools were called tablet houses. Cities also had priests and scholars. Priests took care of temples and led religious ceremonies. They were very powerful because people believed they could talk to the gods on everyone's behalf. But priests and scholars did more than just religious work. They studied the skies, the stars, the sun, and the moon. This is called astronomy. Why did the sky matter? Because knowing when the seasons change tells you when to plant your crops and when to harvest them. Early scholars used what they learned from the stars to create some of the very first calendars. And every city needed leaders. Early cities were usually led by kings. But a king wasn't just one person making all the decisions alone. Kings had whole teams of helpers to run the city. That team is called a bureaucracy, which is really just a fancy word for government. The government collected taxes, usually paid in food or goods, to fund the city. They organized armies to protect people. They paid for big building projects like walls and temples, and they made sure the rules were followed. It sounds a lot like how countries still work today. That's because humans have been using the same basic idea for thousands and thousands of years. So let's put the whole picture together. Farmers grew extra food. Extra food meant not everyone had to farm. People who didn't farm became specialists. Builders, scribes, priests, scholars, soldiers, merchants, and craftspeople. All those specialists came together in one place. That place was a city. Cities let people share ideas and skills in ways that were never possible before. The city was the engine that powered human civilization. Thanks for hanging out with me today at Noggs House. We've seen how extra food and the right kind of teamwork turned small villages into the first great cities. Thousands of people, dozens of different jobs, one place. Pretty wild that so much changed just because farmers got good at what they did. But our story is just getting started. Next time we're going to talk about the Industrial Revolution, a time when machines changed absolutely everything. Imagine going from a world where almost everything is made by hand, one item at a time, to a world where factories crank out thousands of things every single day. It happened fast. It changed where people live, how they work, and even the air they breathe. I hope you'll come back and join me for that. See you next time.